My name is Evelyn Carter, and tonight my father told me I could sleep in the basement or get out of his house before midnight. The roast on the table was still untouched. My mother had folded the cloth napkins like she always does for Sunday dinner, like we were still a normal family. Ryan had just rolled 2 suitcases through the front door like he was checking into a hotel. His girlfriend Vanessa stood behind him in a white blazer and heels, looking around my parents' living room like a realtor walking a client through a property she already planned to flip. My father didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. He just leaned back in his chair, wiped his hands on a dish towel, and said it like a decision had already been made hours ago without me in the room. Ryan and Vanessa are moving into your room. You can take the basement, Evelyn, or you can find somewhere else to stay. For a second, I thought I misheard him. I actually laughed soft and stupid because there was no way he meant what I heard. The basement. The unfinished basement that smells like damp concrete and old paint. The basement where the washing machine leaks, and I've had to mop up the floor more than once because the pipe my dad keeps promising to fix never gets fixed. The basement I paid to rewire so the breaker would stop tripping every time my mother tried to run the dryer and the microwave at the same time. "Dad," I said, and I could hear it in my own voice, the part of me that still believed we were on the same side. "That's my room." He didn't even look at me when he answered. "They need the space more than you do. They're starting something." "You're fine." Ryan smiled. Vanessa didn't bother pretending. She was already scanning the hallway like she owned it. She pointed toward the kitchen cabinets and said almost casually, "We could open this up. Take this wall down, make it brighter. It'll increase the resale value." Resale value. That's what she called my parents' house. Resale value. My fork slipped from my hand and hit the plate. No one moved. No one said my name. Here's what I didn't say. I've been the one paying to keep this house alive. The heater, the roof, the taxes, even the fridge everyone complains about. But at that table, none of it mattered. My brother smirked. My mother stared at her napkin, and my father looked at me like I was a guest. Not his daughter, just someone who'd stayed too long. So he said calmly, "What's it going to be?" That was what broke something in me. Not anger, certainty. They'd already chosen. I stood. "I'm not sleeping in the basement." Dad set his napkin down. "They need stability. A place to build something. Build what I asked." Another failed online store. Ryan shrugged. "It's called taking risks. You wouldn't understand." "You're right," I said. "Because when I take risks, I pay for them." Dad's tone hardened. "Enough. You'll figure something out. You always do." Vanessa smiled. "We'll take good care of the place, Mr. Carter. And don't worry, Evelyn, we'll keep your old room neat." That was the spark. "I'm done," I said. "Take the room. Take the whole damn house." Ryan laughed. "Don't be dramatic." "Dramatic?" I grabbed my coat. That's rich, coming from the man moving into a house he doesn't pay for. No one stopped me. My mother's fork clinked the only sound. Outside, the cold stung my face. Through the window, I saw Vanessa standing where I'd been smiling, already planning the furniture. That's when I realized she wasn't moving in. She was taking over. I didn't move back because I wanted to. I moved back because someone had to keep the lights on. After Grandma died, bills piled up faster than my parents could open them. Dad's back injury forced early retirement. Mom's laundromat job barely covered food. When I saw the shut-off notice on the door, I knew they were broke. I was working as a structural engineer, then decent pay, long hours. I told myself it'd be 6 months. Help them catch up. Fix the roof, then leave. 6 months turned into 3 years. Every project at work came second to that house. Dad promised to repay me once Ryan's business takes off. His business changed every season. Sneakers, digital ads, consulting. Dad called him a visionary. I was just steady, Evelyn. At first, fixing things felt good. Control disguised as purpose. But it never stopped. Every leak, every bill, every sacrifice was mine. Late one night, I heard Mom whisper, "Evelyn's here because she wants to be useful, Frank." Let her. Useful. That word stuck like a bruise. Ryan dropped by to borrow my car, or money calling me the Rock. I used to take pride in that. Now it sounded like sucker. When the water heater burst, I spent hours mopping while Dad watched TV. The next day, I bought a new one myself. Pride turned to resentment. Every fix just revealed another crack in the house and in me. Then came Vanessa. She showed up in a white Lexus, a diamond watch, catching the light, selling herself as a real estate investor. My father hung on every word. High return portfolios, private clients' potential. She spoke in buzzwords. He heard gospel. I saw through her polish. She was too smooth, too vague. When I warned Mom something felt off, she sighed. "She makes your father happy. Don't ruin that." That's when I knew I was alone in that house. Soon, Vanessa was everywhere. Lunches with Ryan, business talks with Dad, loan papers on the table. Every time I asked questions, Ryan laughed. "You wouldn't get it." The day before it all exploded, they arrived with suitcases. Dad said they'd move in for a while to get organized. He called it space for their future. I watched Vanessa glance toward my room, smiling like she already owned it. So when Dad said at dinner, "You can take the basement or move out," I shouldn't have been surprised. Vanessa had already moved into their trust. That night I packed. Ryan leaned in the doorway, smirking. "You're seriously leaving?" "You made it easy," I said. "Come on, you're too sensitive." "Sensitive, you let your girlfriend evict me from a house I paid for." "That's not sensitive, that's math." By midnight, everything I owned fit in my car. Dad stood by the door. "You're making a scene," he said. "No," I said. "I'm just done." Outside, the porch light flickered. Another thing I'd meant to fix. Through the window, Vanessa's blazer flashed white. My mother stood silent in the doorway. She didn't wave. The next morning, I signed a lease downtown. My co-worker Grace brought takeout and cheap wine. "Fresh start," she said. Maybe this time, I told her, I'll spend my money on myself. That night, lying on a bare mattress, I finally felt something close to peace. It wasn't freedom yet, but it was the first breath that didn't taste like debt. 2 weeks after I left, I was finally breathing. I'd settled into my new apartment when my phone buzzed my mother. "Evelyn," she whispered, "there are people here. They're asking for Vanessa." 20 minutes later, I pulled up 2 government sedans in the driveway, men with badges. Dad pale at the door, Ryan shouting into his phone. "We're here regarding Vanessa Brooks," one man said. "We believe she may be involved in mortgage fraud and forged loan documents tied to this address." Dad stammered. "That can't be right. She helped us refinance. The loan is under review for falsified signatures and misappropriated funds. We need to contact her." Vanessa's Lexus arrived across the street. She saw the cars, saw me, and didn't flinch. I started recording. "You used them," I said. "You used this house." She smiled, cool. "They signed everything. I didn't make them blind." Inside, Ryan was unraveling amid stacks of mortgage papers. "You knew, didn't you? Why didn't you stop her?" he demanded. "I tried," I said. "You called me jealous." Mom sank down, covering her face. Dad stood motionless, the investigator's card like a verdict in his hand. It hit us then. The house I'd been saving was already signed away. Vanessa had taken control. That night I played the recording over and over. Her voice was calm, confessing everything. They would lose the house. They would lose everything. And for the first time, it wouldn't be my job to save them. They called before sunrise. My father's voice was small, shaking in a way I'd never heard. Ev, the bank's calling. They might foreclose. Please, we need you. I knew exactly what that meant. Vanessa's forged loans had come due and the house was sinking under debt. I drove there anyway, not out of duty, but to see if they finally understood what they'd done. They were waiting on the porch. My mother's hands trembled around her cup. My father looked hollow. Ryan met me at the door, voice cracking. The bank's going to auction the house. Can you help us just this once? I didn't answer. I just looked at them, the same faces that had pushed me out for a woman who sold them promises. For years I'd paid every bill, patched every roof, given up every promotion to keep their lights on. I'd warned them about her, begged them to listen. And they hadn't. Dad stepped forward, hands open like he used to when he wanted a favor. Ev, please, you're the only one who can fix this. For a heartbeat, something inside me softened. I remembered Sundays with lemon polish and pot roast, the way he'd smile when Mom laughed. But then I saw Ryan's face, heard Vanessa's echo resale value. The tug toward forgiveness snapped. I'm not a bank, I said quietly. Not your emergency fund anymore. Mom began to cry. We don't know what to do. You do, I said. You just never wanted to face it. Dad reached for my hand. I let him hold it for a moment. Cold, shaking, desperate, then pulled away. I'm done being your fixer. Their eyes followed me as I walked to the door. I didn't slam it. I left it open so they could see me leave, so they could feel what emptiness actually looked like. Outside the air was sharp and clean. I thought of my bare apartment, of grace, of quiet mornings that were finally mine. It wasn't perfect, but it was free. I started the car, the sound of my father's broken voice fading behind me. And for the first time, I didn't turn back. 6 months have passed since that morning. The house on Maple Street is gone now, foreclosed, stripped, and sold at auction. I drove by once out of curiosity. The porch was freshly painted. The fence replaced a new family's bicycles leaned against the garage. It looked smaller than I remembered, and quieter, like the house itself had finally exhaled. I didn't stop. I just kept driving. Sometimes I still dream of it, the flickering porch light, the smell of roast beef, the sound of my father's voice telling me to move downstairs. It used to make me wake up angry. Now it just reminds me that I left before the whole thing collapsed on top of me. I live in a different part of town now. My apartment isn't big, but it's mine. I fixed the leaky faucet myself last month, and for the first time I did it knowing no one else would take the credit. Grace still comes over on Fridays with Thai food, and sometimes we sit by the window talking about nothing in particular. She doesn't ask about my family anymore, and I don't bring them up. Last week, a letter came from my mother. She didn't ask for money. She just wrote that they were renting a small place outside Rockford, that Dad was working part-time at the hardware store, and that Ryan had moved to another state. She said she was proud of me, 6 words that used to mean everything, and now just mean she's trying. I didn't write back right away. I read it twice, then folded it neatly and placed it in a drawer. Not because I'm angry, but because I finally understand something I should have learned years ago. Sometimes forgiveness is quiet. It's not a conversation. It's a decision to stop bleeding over people who never learned how to stop cutting. When people ask if I miss them, I tell the truth. I miss who I thought they were. I miss the version of me who believed that love could be earned by sacrifice. But I don't miss being needed only when it was convenient. On Sunday nights, when the city settles into silence and the streetlights hum, I make myself dinner, real dinner, not leftovers, and I eat it at my own table. No tension, no eyes waiting for me to give something up. And every time I set my plate down, I think about that last line from my father. What's it going to be? Now I know. It's going to be me.